It has been hard to miss these hazy skies. As I mentioned, beautiful sunsets, but that smoke is traveling here from out west, places like Washington State and Alberta, Canada, where wildfires have been burning for weeks. And as you can see, these are big, huge plumes of smoke being sent in the sky, particularly in Canada. And check this out. It is coming here on the jet stream all the way from Alberta across Minnesota and Wisconsin. This was the view from space yesterday. So we want to dig a little deeper into this as part of our Next Weather Investigates series. We know you have questions about the haze, and this has been a pretty bad event pretty early in the season.
And wildfires, though, Mike, have always existed. And so, but now there's a way to link it directly to climate change. How do we know that it's connected?
Yeah, so it's called attribution, and the state of the science has come far enough now that we can look at certain weather conditions and say these are X amount more likely now because of climate change, and that's exactly what we're seeing in this particular case. There was a state of emergency declared about 2 weeks ago in Alberta, and 30,000 people have been evacuated because this is happening at sort of an odd time of the year. In fact, this is our partners at Climate Central, their Climate Shift Index, which reveals how much climate change influences the temperature on any given day. And this is the map for yesterday, but it could easily be the map for today, going back the past few weeks, because the heat on the west coast of Canada and in the Pacific Northwest is 4 times more likely today than it was about 50 years ago due to our changing climate.
As we talk about what's happening today, I'm reminded of a couple of years ago, specifically summer 2021, July, I believe. I remember doing stories, and who could forget?
Hard to forget it, yeah.
It felt like there was soot on cars, like you could physically see what was happening around us all the way down to the ground. And as I was looking up this story, I found so many others in between about wildfire smoke. It feels like this is happening more often.
It is, because the hotter and drier the air is, the more likely wildfires will start. And the more wildfires, the more smoke can build up in the atmosphere. So going back over the past decade or so, we have one set of conditions we've gotten used to, but there's a map that actually shows what will happen in the next 25 years. The deeper the shade on this map across the western U.S., the thicker the smoke concentration. And you can see in some cases, with our warming climate, we will double the amount of smoke that we'll see in the air in the next 25 years.
Is the haze dangerous?
It is, because these are really, really tiny particles of soot and smoke, and they get lodged into humans' lungs really, really easily. So for anybody who has chronic respiratory problems, asthma, COPD, this soot in their lungs can actually increase the risk of death. It can increase the risk of heart disease impacts. Pre-existing conditions are exacerbated. And, you know, there are people who say, well, I'll just put on a mask like we did during COVID. These particles are so small that they go through masks that you can buy like at home improvement stores, because those are designed to filter out much bigger particles like sawdust. The only way you could really avoid this would be to put on a gas mask or stay indoors, and that seems ridiculous. And yet we're seeing this happen more and more frequently. It's ruining what would otherwise be nice days, right?
Yeah, and when you think about the health impacts for people who already have something going on, it's a big impact. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.